Welcome home, where we provide information, inspiration, and motivator after motivator after motivator here on America's Next. I have Karen Hughes here with me today. How you doing, Karen?
Hey, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely, absolutely. I want to say hi to everybody who's getting into the building. Let's just take a moment to appreciate life.
Yeah, most definitely.
Let's take a moment to appreciate life. To observe the people who are trying to make their lives better, the people who are helping one another make their lives better, and the overall shift that's taking place in our country. I can't wait. I can't wait for the summertime. I'm gonna just skip past spring. I can't wait for the summertime. So if you are excited for a new season in your life, a new season in our country, drop a 1 in the chat. Drop a 1 in the chat. We have a comment. Sharmika Overstreet says, just share it to my Pretty Dolls page. We're super proud of you, Karen Hughes. Absolutely. Yolanda Riley says hello. So let's get right into it. Karen, where are you from?
So I am originally from Cordele, Georgia. It's a small town about 2 hours south of Atlanta, Georgia. Right off of Highway 75.
Now, growing up in that small town, did you all say that you were from Atlanta, or did you say that you were from?
Listen, we are proud to say where we were from, because guess what? We are the watermelon capital of the world. And by the way, really? I am representing green. Yeah, seriously, we are the watermelon capital of the world. I promise you.
Wow.
No
Okay. So let's talk about it. So
I got to tell you this. I got to tell you. People, when I was young, people came from all over the world to work at our farmers market. That's how big it was. I mean,
wow.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's how serious it was. So yeah. So we, again, watermelon capital of the world. I've never been one of those people to say, I've traveled the world, being in the military, as you know, and I've always said that I was from Cordele, Georgia.
So Cordele, Georgia. How do you spell that?
So you spell Cordele, Cordele.
Cordele.
Yeah.
Cordele.
Yeah. So small town. Listen, there's a rocket at the exit where you get off of Highway 75. So most people will say, "Oh yeah, I think I know that's where the rocket is." So yeah, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I'm very proud to be from Cordele.
Absolutely, we are learning about a new city right here on America's Next Motivator. Making history on America's Next Motivator. Learning that Cordele, Georgia is the watermelon capital of the world. So obviously, some watermelon history, some watermelon etiquette is in order.
Yeah.
Now, first of all, I got a question for you. What were the watermelons like when you were growing up? I know that they're extremely nutritious. First of all, they're extremely nutritious. Do your research for those folks out there and learn about the hydrating properties, the vitamin C, the vitamin A.
Yeah.
Okay. The electrolytes. Go ahead.
So just a little history. I didn't know this until we had our family reunion, and one of my great uncles, he shared that the slaves brought over the watermelon seeds. And
really?
Yes. Oh my God. I'm telling you, it's bigger than just watermelon, right? And just
that's right.
Itself, right? So, so they were rich crops. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, people, it's not uncommon for people like me to go and work in a watermelon field. You know, as a child, we wanted to go and do that. I remember doing it with some of my uncles and my cousins. You know, and, we would get on the back of the truck and sit on top of the watermelon. And it was like, we were just in heaven, like now as an adult, I wouldn't want to go and do that. But, those were great childhood memories for me, and if one of them fell off the truck and we would want to go get the heart, You know, that's the best
Right.
part of the watermelon. The heart of the watermelon has the meatiest portion, and you know, it was just fond memories for me. You know, so I'm not embarrassed. I'm always proud to say where I'm from.
Somehow, when you talk about your childhood, I'm feeling the sun. I'm feeling the summer energy of your upbringing.
It was live. Listen, even where I'm from, it never snowed, right? Never had snowed there before in my life. Christmas time, it's still warm. You may need a jacket, a light jacket, but it's just beautiful, just a beautiful town. It really is. And it was just booming when I was younger, you know. So I loved being from there. I love, you know, now it's not as flourishing as it was growing up, but it's still my hometown, and I'm never gonna knock it. Never.
Did you know families who were homeowners? Did everybody have an automobile?
Oh, yeah.
What was the lifestyle like?
My grandparents were homeowners. I never grew up thinking, you know, my grandmother, when my mom got pregnant with me, they lived in the projects, right? So she came from a humble background. My grandmother was a maid, you know, and so she worked for a family, and I guess they built a home for her because they loved her that much, and built a home and gave her the deed, and you know, it was her home. So I grew up in a home. My grandmother had a car. She was, you know, they owned cars, and they had a boat. You know, they you know, they were homeowners, and they were not the only ones. You know, there were that entire block. My grandmother's sister lived next door to us. She was a homeowner. I mean, the entire neighborhood, you know, the people owned their homes.
Okay,
so, you know, it was good.
What was the soundtrack of your childhood? What kind of music were y'all listening to?
Oh my God, my mom played the Commodores, you know, Earth, Wind, and Fire. You know what I'm saying? I remember Betty Wright, you know, Tonight is the Night. I was jamming, you know, I didn't have anyone close to my age. You know, I was the only child. Because I told you my mom had me at a young age, but you know, so everyone was either way older than me or way younger than me. So I had to find, you know, I had to be if they needed another somebody to play cards, I had to be the person that learned how to play, you know, spades and stuff. So yeah, it was I had a great childhood. I think so.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Talking about that portion of your life. So now, what was your relationship like with your mother, and what was those conversations like? Who was she telling you to be?
So again, I told you my grandparents raised me. So my mom's mom, my grandparents raised me. So I grew up in, they were older people, and you know, so they were not the most educated, but they were people in the community that people respected. You know, they were faith-based people, you know, so I grew up with values, you know, I grew up with morals, you know, a lot of people are not introduced to those things until they come in the military. I came in the military already with those things.
Exactly.
Right? So, you know, it was, I had, you know, I was a debutante, you know, I played in the band, you know, I was given, I think I was given a really good life, you know.
Yeah.
I was subjected to a lot of things. I was a Girl Scout. So it wasn't because I was raised by grandparents that I missed the boat. I think that, you know, because of my mom getting pregnant, I think that she did everything that she could to keep my mind occupied. So I excelled, you know, excelled, and it made me better, you know, at least I think.
I'm getting a tremendous amount of positivity out of your story so far.
Yeah. I mean, I can't tell you a lie and say I have a sob story.
Oh no. That's not what we're here to do tonight. There's so many things that we can take from your upbringing and make sure that we're incorporating it into our lives today. Yeah. It's like going back to the future when we listen to upbringings like yours, because there's such deep roots. Like you said, the values, the morals that come out of it. So the first thing that I want to say is that I find it really, really honorable that your grandparents stepped in to assist.
Oh yeah.
You know, your grandparents stepped in to assist. And so much appreciation, love, and respect for all the grandparents out there.
Listen,
right?
I don't know if you're aware, but now, history is starting to repeat itself. If you watch on the news, a lot of more grandparents now are having to raise their grandchildren for whatever reason, whether it's economic, like in this area I'm in Kentucky, there's unfortunately a lot of drug use. So a lot of children are having to depend on grandparents because their parents may not, may not physically be able to take care of them because they're on drugs or whatever. But yeah, so I think it was admirable of them to do that, and say, hey, go ahead and live your life. We got her. We're going to take care of her. And just, and so I'm thankful. I wouldn't have had it any other way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
At some point, we've got to look at our family as not only a family tree, but that, okay, your parents might be new trees on the yard, but guess what? Yeah. Your grandparents are that strong oak, and so your grandparents and even your great grandparents, they are the strong oak backbone of the family. They're reliable, they're sturdy, they're wise. And the lessons that we get from them, that's what I want to pass forward today. This is why we talked about what your relationship was like, what the conversations were like. What were some of those values that they instilled in you for the young woman or the young man out there today that doesn't have that privilege? What were some of the values and morals that were instilled in you?
So I learned at a young age to be a giver. I learned, I didn't just start volunteering as an adult. I learned my grandfather was a master mason. My grandmother was an
What's a master mason?
It's a mason that has like the highest level that they can be, with the in the masonry. Okay. My grandmother was she was an Eastern Star, and I think you probably know that is what the Eastern Star is. But they were so involved in the community, and helping people and feeding people, and they were doing things that I didn't know why we did it, but we just did it. It was second nature to me. I'll give you an example. I caught the bus at the end of our driveway, and there were other children that would come and catch the bus in the same spot. Well, there was a kid that he didn't get the opportunity to eat breakfast. I don't know how they knew this, but they would call him in and he would sit at the breakfast table and he would eat breakfast with me, and nobody else knew it. They just thought maybe he came in because of out of the weather, but every morning they would feed him breakfast, and it's just amazing the heart that they had, and they instilled it into me, so they taught me that giving, and to be just to be a great person in your community.
That's right. That's one of the biggest things. And if you look around, I think we're doing less of that. Not in pockets.
Yeah, it's sad.
Not in pockets.
You know what else too, Cedric, back then, I apologize for interrupting, but this is passionate for me. Back then, the community raised you together as a village. One of my sayings is it takes a village. I don't think we have the village anymore. I think people only care about their children. But your children can't marry each other. You know what I mean? I can put everything into my son and my daughter, but they can't marry each other. So people don't think about that. So I always think about back then, if I was doing something and I was out of order somewhere and my grandmother wasn't there, you best believe by the time I got back home, she was already aware of what the situation was. Oh, and I was checked by whoever saw me. You know what I mean?
That's right.
So we don't have that anymore. People are afraid to say things to children, to other people's children, or to say things to anyone, because now you could get killed for doing that now. You know what I mean? So most people are leery. I still have a hard time. Like we can be some places. I can be some places with my children. That's it. And mom, don't say anything. Don't say anything to them. If I see somebody acting crazy or acting out of order, and I'm just looking at them thinking, how would you be acting like this if your mom was here? You know what I mean?
Right.
But we don't have that anymore, Cedric, in the community. And that's so unfortunate. It's so unfortunate.
See, this is what I wanted to uncover today. It's beautiful that you had the upbringing that you had, because now you can clearly see what's missing.
Yeah.
And see, when you talk about the community village and how it's not here as much today as it used to be.
No.
I want to talk about what we could do to trigger that memory. of the community village. And is there anything we can do to kind of to bring that part of history back around? Because they say history repeats itself. We need that part of history to repeat itself. What can we do?
Yeah, I often think about it, but I think we need to do what we're doing now. We're having a dialogue, so at least we're communicating about it. We have people watching, and like I said, I think that I try to think back to think, hey, where did things go wrong? Where did things take a turn? And I can't for the life of me put my finger on it to say, oh, this year this happened. You know what I mean? I just think what I do think is that even though my mom was a teenage parent, she was got pregnant as a teenager. She had parents to come in to take over. But I think that what had happened is that sometimes we've had children having children and not having anyone to help raise them. So they're raising themselves with their children. And so I think that if we talk about it and we communicate about it with one another, and I think that when someone really sees that you care and that you're not just pointing fingers at someone and saying, hey, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that. There's a reason why we want you. You're a representation of your family. The biggest compliment that someone can give me as a parent is to tell me how my son and my daughter act in my absence.
That's right.
That's the biggest compliment for me as a parent. Because see, I know how they're going to act in my presence, but it's how they act in my absence is what tells the story to me.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah.
We have to take conversations like these where Karen is saying, we need those villages and networks back. And we got to say, you know what? I know what to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to start a village.
Yeah.
I'm going to start a network.
Yeah.
Right.
I do my part. I'll tell you, I do my part.
Mm-hmm.
Whether I'm going to give it to you, whether you want it or not. Now, if you don't take it and accept it, or if you feel like I'm being, you may not like my delivery, but I'm only going to tell you something that I think that you need and that I think to make you better. And a lot of people won't do that. They won't. Like I said, they only worry about what's theirs. And if it doesn't affect their household, they don't care about it. But I'm not like that. I'm not like that at all.
I think that's awesome. Okay, so now, what was middle school like for you? Did you start to get involved in programs? What did it look like?
Yeah, so middle school is so I joined band in elementary. I want to say like in maybe 5th grade. So middle school was a big deal because then that's when we got issued our band uniforms and we started, having some events that we would attend and playing at some of the games. And so I started doing a lot. I started taking piano lessons, when I was in middle school. So, I was a Girl Scout. So yeah, so I was doing a lot of things in middle school, and your hormones and stuff are raging. So it's a challenging. Those are challenging years. If someone asks me, whenever I talk with someone and they're talking about their kids are having rough time and they're in middle school, I have to tell them, hey, you gotta understand those are tough years, because you got hormones flaring, the schoolwork is getting tougher. But I have really great memories of my middle school years. I do.
Okay, what songs did they have y'all singing in the band?
Oh my God, I want to say New Edition was out at the time. I can't really. I mean, going back to middle,
I know.
Time for me.
Yeah. But I joined the choir as well in middle school.
Okay.
And I still remember, some of the performances. And for those people who might be open to it because you're hearing this conversation tonight, band or choir is a powerful program.
Oh, most definitely.
To put your children in.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's not all about being able to sing and your vibrato, It's about listening to the teacher or the instructor. You'll learn where you fit in. But
I sing in church choir, so I don't profess to be a singer, but I can harmonize. I can carry a tune to make whoever's leading the song. I'm gonna back you up good. I'm a great backup singer.
Right, there you go. But you get so much value. You get so much value out of singing those songs, out of building relationships.
But that's what else you learn. You learn to work as a team. Because if you sing it by yourself, it's a solo. And most people aren't singing a solo. Everybody can't sing a solo. So you learn how to harmonize, you know what I mean? You learn how to do your part so that at the end, everyone comes together and it makes this beautiful sound. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, as we look for ways to build more harmony in our communities, I got to look around and say, well, how many of us are in the choir? Or is the choir a thing of the past? How many of us are in the band, or is the band a thing of the past? And I got to say, let's make sure that we're involved in that. Make sure you're somewhere in the choir getting involved, because that harmony is the same harmony that you need to have with your children. It's the same harmony that you need with your next door neighbor.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree, and everyone can't play sports. You know, I wasn't an athletic person, you know, so the band gave me an outlet, you know, for me to do things, to stand out against my peers. You know, a lot of my friends were in the band, so we had a common goal, you know, and I enjoyed the camaraderie that we shared. And then, of course, who doesn't enjoy the band on a Friday night at the football game? You know, so I still go home right now. My godson graduated from high school 2 years ago, but I still, every time I go home during football season, I'm gonna go to a football game.
That's right.
I'm gonna check the band out. I'm gonna critique the band. It's like I'm back in school again.
You know what?
All in fun though.
I think you're making a great point right now, and that is, we can all find a way to get involved with the school spirit aspect. Get involved in that school spirit aspect, because that school spirit aspect is going to open your mind up. It's going to open your heart up. It's going to open your character up.
Yes. And you learn so much more. You're subjected to so much more. You know, I had to learn to be competitive, you know, because I played the clarinet and I played well. So I want to say I said first chair, third chair, first clarinet or whatever, right? So I was forced to compete. You know, you go in and you play this little medley, and then your band director says, hey, you're going to go and you're going to play this. So what it does is, guess what it did for me? It gave me self-esteem. It built me up, you know, for me to go. And I actually did well, you know. So, hey, I'm just saying it was awesome. It was awesome. I told you I wouldn't change a thing about my childhood. Oh
no. We're celebrating your life today. Your life is a case study tonight. Celinda Mumphrey says Crisp County Cougars.
Yes, that's my alumni. That's it. That's the name of we're the Cougars. So County, it was called Crisp County High School. So Crisp County Cougars. Yeah, that's one of my really good friends right there that she put that up. I love her. That's like my little sister.
See, this is what we got to do. We have to have conversations like these that allow people on our friends list and in our public to get new clues. You know, people, that energy, like I said, people are looking for ways to tap into that energy. That's what
I agree.
The spirit, the energy, it's all happening. Either you join the choir, if you're not athletic, find a way to get involved.
Right.
You can be the water. You could be the water boy. You could be the towel boy. You could be on a team. Right.
We had people in the band that I apologize, I don't remember the actual term, but they put the flags out for the flag girls. You know, they made sure that we had what we needed for the band and the percussion session or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it was, you know, you didn't have to have an instrument to play to be a part of it. You know, you just had to have those ethics and those values, you know, to be a part of it, you know.
Absolutely. Okay, so by the time you went into high school, you were a rising star.
Yeah, I was.
What was your idea of the world? Who did you want to be while you were in high school and as you were graduating high school? What were your thoughts?
So I'm going to tell you. So I was so far off base, but at the time there was this lady. She was a news anchor woman. Her name was Monica Kaufman, and Monica Kaufman was my girl crush. You know, I was like, you know what? I want to do what Monica Kaufman does. She gives the news. She was trustworthy. You know, she was passionate about what she wanted to do. You know, career day, I was like, boom, I know what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be an anchor woman. I'm going to be on television. And that lasted maybe about 2 years. So after that, what happened, my uncle and his wife joined the military. And so they were traveling, they had this nice car, and, I mean, like everything was just glorious. So I was like, I don't know. I might need to go in the military. They got it going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in high school, you, first of all, I gotta say, I can relate to you on so many levels. Put a 1 in the chat if at some point in your life you wanted to be the news anchor or the weatherman or the weather woman. A lot of people wanted to be that. I remember being at camp and there was a young lady who she wanted to be a newswoman, just like you just said. I mean, you look on TV and they talking to you about the weather, they delivering the news, they look great.
Yep.
And so I can identify with that, but it sounds like you also started to pay attention to the military service,
I did.
honor, of serving the community.
Yes, I did. Okay. So I knew shortly after being in high school, maybe my sophomore, my junior year, I knew that that's what I wanted to do.
Okay. Yeah. And what was the deciding factor for you? What was so good about it?
I'll say the deciding factor was because I had grandparents. My grandfather passed away when I was a junior. So it was just my grandmother and I. So she didn't really, like I said, she didn't have the education. So I didn't know how to go out and apply for the schools and apply for loans. And I know that financially she couldn't afford to send me to college. So what I had to do was make a decision that how can I go and be something, make something of myself, still get an education and get paid while I could do that, do those things, right? And, oh, by the way, help my grandmother. So the military was what I figured out would do that for me. It would give me a job. It would give me a place to stay. It would give me a career, right? And all by paying me, and I'm seeing the world for free. So those were those decisions that I made.
A lot of us, we seek different things in life. One of the things that I know we seek is honor.
Oh, most definitely.
We want honor at some point in our lives.
Yeah.
Some people want it earlier, some people want it later, but trust and believe at some point in your life, you're going to want that trumpet behind your name. Yeah. And the trumpet isn't always because you joined the service, but the idea, the notation of honor. Yes. A lot of us want that. Yeah. And a lot of your grandparents out there, you're young and your grandparents telling you, oh, you're gonna go to the Army one day. I just know it. You're gonna go to the military and become a Marine, and you're gonna become an officer, you're gonna go to the Air Force, and your grandparents or your parents are telling you, I want honor to be bestowed upon your name. Yes. And for a lot of us, the service is a way of gaining rigidity, regiment, structure, stricture, and honor. Yes. Honor. Yes. Yes. Honor in your life. Yes. So what was it like for you when you first got into the service? What was going on in your head?
Oh my God, what have I done? Because you go through the challenging boot camp and you're not used to being away from, I would go every summer to visit my family members, so I was used to traveling, and being away from my grandmother and my grandparents and, but it's different when you're confined and someone's telling you what you can and you can't do. So that was just temporary though. So I when I got in my mind that this is just temporarily what I need to do to get to the next level, then I did it. So that 6 weeks of basic training, and then I went off to schooling. And so I said, okay, every time I got to one obstacle, I knocked it down and I went to the next obstacle, and so when I realized how the military worked, I figured it out and I used it to my advantage.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to Karen Hughes today. She found a way to rise, to grow, to learn, enjoy life, and eventually bestow honor upon her legacy. We're going to talk more about that after this brief message. Everybody sit tight. We'll be right back. America's Next Motivator, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern. America's Next Motivator, hosted by me, Cedric Riley, and sponsored by the Pride Empowerment Network and our viewership. And we're back. Karen, how you feeling out there?
I'm feeling good. I just got me a little water because I've been talking, so my little throat was parched.
So you are usually dressed up in a suit every single day, I imagine.
Yeah, and I want to apologize to you. As soon as you came on and I saw your blazer, your jacket, I was like, man, I came home, got out of those clothes, took a shower, and put on a dress. You know, I wanted to, you know, it's got my initials on it. So I apologize. I am. I'm usually dressed up every day. I like to tell people at work that I dress according to my pay grade.
Absolutely. No need to apologize tonight. Okay. Sometimes you are even more relatable when people feel like they could be sitting right there in your kitchen having a conversation with you.
My kitchen's behind me. I'm at my dinner table.
That's right. I'm sorry, excuse me, the dinner table.
But that's okay because you can see my kitchen behind me.
Right. Young women want to figure out how they can get their life to a better place. Mm-hmm. What do you say to them this evening? What do you say to them?
So what I would tell the young women, what I tell young ladies is you've got to look at your situation and you've got to put yourself in the best possible situation that you can to be successful. Everyone has a different story. Everyone has a different upbringing. I just shared with you that I knew that my grandparents couldn't afford college. So in order for me to be successful, to achieve a college degree or to achieve having a career, I knew that I had to make the decision to join the military. A lot of people was like, I can't believe you're going in the military. You know, you don't even look like you should be in the military. And I was like, okay, does it look like I not need to be able to take care of myself?
Right.
You know, does it, I like to be able to buy nice things, you know? And so I would tell them that whatever your assets that you have, utilize them, you know, like my children, they had both parents growing up in the home with them. And we supported them. So they had a support system. So their situation was not like mine. And I'm not saying that my grandparents didn't support me, but they were elderly people. They did the best that they could for me. You know what I mean? So they didn't like my son. I still support my son and my daughter to this day, you know, as adults, you know. So you have to do what works for you and to put yourself in the best position to be successful.
That's right.
Yeah.
When you had your children and you were in your career, how were you able to balance everything?
Well, you know, I just did it. It was like second nature. I was a wife, you know, I was a mother. My children are 7 years apart. So my daughter for 7 years she was the only child, you know, and then I did a break-in service where I got out and my husband at the time, my ex-husband, he was in. So I did banking, you know, so he decided, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. You know, I'm just tapped out of the military. So the same month that he exited the military, I came back in. So when I came back in, I said, you know what? This is something that I know is going to take me and my family places. And so I made it work for me. So I knew I went to school, you know, I knew that I needed to get a college degree to get promoted, you know, because you got extra points, you know, so the higher your points were, the easier it was for you to get promoted. So you know, at lunchtime, on the weekends, at night, you know, I would go to school. So I would prepare meals that I knew that he could warm up for the children, you know, until I got home, you know, so we worked together as a team, you know, and it was just survival, so I wanted nice things. I wanted to have a family that we could provide for and give and do nice things for. So we just made it happen, and it helped that he had been in the military. And as he transitioned to a civilian, he carried his load as a father and as a husband. So I didn't do it by myself. I did have help, and my family helped me as well. At one point, my mom would come and live with me, to help take care of my children if I deployed, or my sister grew up, lived with me for a couple of years. And so therefore, she was old enough that she could watch the children while he worked and while I was in school, so it's like I said, it took a village. It took a village for that. So we made it happen. My daughter, we laugh every now and then, and she'll say, I miss the meals that you used to cook for us as a child. We would have taco night. I would make homemade shrimp fried rice, and she talks about those things, and it makes my heart, full with joy that she remembers those things. Because at that time, it was like, hey, what can I make to make this meal stretch from maybe 2 days or 3 days, So yeah, so it brought me joy for her to talk about that.
We have a comment from Ani King Riley. Working together in partnership is key to success in relationships. Finding the balance is hard, but it is possible.
It is. It is. Possible. And you've got to have a goal. You got to have a goal set. As I progress, through the military, you get more responsibility, and I remember things happening, that as a leader, I would have to go to someone's home, or I would have to go, things may happen. And, I remember my ex-husband saying, hey, hold up, let me put my shoes on. I'm going with you. I'm not letting you go out there by yourself. So it wasn't just me. I had a support system. My family supported me as well. And I want to say that it's so important that if you have a support system, especially being in the military, because I've deployed, I've left my children so many times, I've missed major events, and you've got to have someone taking care of your children that you're not worried that they're going to harm them. Nobody may take care of them like you, but you got to have someone that you trust, because I can't be overseas worried about doing my job correctly if I'm worried about my children and if they're being treated properly. You know what I mean? So it was a balance. It was a balance, and it took a team of people. And I'm so blessed and thankful for the family that I have, because I made it happen.
Right.
Yeah.
I've got to shake the room up a little bit.
Okay, let's go. Shake it up.
What are your thoughts about marriage? I don't know if more or less people are getting married these days, but what I think I see is less of the newer generation going out and do what was traditionally done. I see more mothers who are saying, I'm fine being independent. I see more fathers saying, I'm fine being independent. And I think it's possible we lose some of the village aspect when we're fine being on an island. So what do you think about marriage and what comes with it?
I was married for 25 years, and I had in me that I wanted to, I told you my upbringing I thought was great. But what I wanted to give to my children was something that I didn't have. I didn't have my parents growing up in the home, right? So I wanted my children to be able to have their mom and dad in the home together growing up, right? So I didn't have a problem with marriage, but the job that I had, me leaving, the stresses of deploying, the length of the deployments, it was just unhealthy, for any the strongest relationships are challenged, because you have so many, back a couple of years ago, I did a 50-month deployment in Iraq. I came back home for 12 months and I was back out the door again, going to Afghanistan for another 12 months. That's challenging. It's hard. It's hard, like I said, and you throw in the stressors of doing your job, he's doing his job. Just to answer your question, I don't have a problem with being married. I just think that I got married at a really young age, and I think that eventually we grew apart, and then we did what we did for the children. And I'm not always saying that's right, but I'm just telling you my story.
Right. Well, my thoughts, the reason why I asked you about it was because I can tell from this conversation how concerned you are with providing the ambiance and the culture that you experience for your family. And I think that marriage is a very positive thing.
Yeah.
And I see, you know, because I'm also a barber. I'm a master barber, and I listen to a lot of the community. And everybody doesn't think that they should get married. And in fact, I see more people who are going the opposite direction of togetherness.
Yeah.
And so what I wanted to talk a little bit about was, you know, the benefit of having somebody be a sound mind next to you, having somebody to rely on and you know, process your decisions.
I can tell you, as a leader, it was very comforting to me and for me as a woman, to go home and to be able to talk with my mate about the challenges of my day. So, you know, and to just to get another person's perspective about things, you know, I enjoyed being married. You know, so I think people should, if you found someone that you think that is it for you, you know, I would get married again. You know, so marriage is not like some people's like, yeah, oh no, I don't want to get married anymore. That's not me.
Say no. Right.
I would love to be married again one day, you know, and you know, because I don't want to grow old alone. I want to share my life. I tell people all the time, I do a dang good job of taking care of myself. So I'm not looking for someone to take care of me, but I want someone that's equally yoked. I want someone to, you know, that we share, you know, the same faith, you know, values, and, you know, just things that we're equally yoked on, you know.
That's right. That's right.
So I think it's sad that a lot of people now just frown upon marriage, you know, and it's almost like it's a joke now. And it's sad, but that, to me, again, that's part of the problem. Think about what I was talking about years ago, you know, how your grandparents were married back then, 40 and 50 and 60 years.
That's right.
You know, do you not think that they didn't have the same challenges that we have now? Yep. I'm sure there was some infidelity. I'm sure that, you know what I mean? But they found a way to keep the family together and to work through it. And I, as a child, never saw anything other than my grandparents being good to one another.
Absolutely. So what we're raising awareness tonight is about the need for us to find ways to come together. Yeah. There are things that words cannot explain that happens when we come together, and in all different ways, whether it be at church, at the dinner table, through marriage, through team spirit at school, in Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, whatever organization you join, there is power in unity. That's where all of this culminates. Power in numbers. That's right. Yeah. I agree. And we've got to be reminded of that. Go ahead.
You know what else I think? It's sad. It's sad for me. I don't know if I have any of my relatives on, and I hope they're not upset if I say this, but our families aren't even the same. You know, I grew up in a time where every year we had a family reunion. You know, so everyone came down from up north, down south. You know, we spent time together. We knew who you know, our cousins were. You know, we fellowshipped at least once or twice. Our families now only get together when there's a death, you know, right. And it's so sad for me because I think that we owe it to our children. I can take my children somewhere and they're like, who's that? And I'm like, that's your uncle.
You're striking a chord with me tonight.
You're striking a chord with me tonight. That's your damn uncle. That's who that is.
Right. Exactly. See, we, and not all families, but a lot of families, right? Of all different ethnic backgrounds, are separating.
It's so sad. So sad.
And it's sad, but it's reality.
It is. You're right. It is.
So for anybody who might be watching this episode tonight, what we are getting through this conversation with Karen Hughes is that there is power in unity. There is power in numbers.
Yes.
And don't forget that we should be moving forward to one another.
Yeah.
Go to one another. Find out what's going on. Help each other. Help your family raise their children.
Yeah.
Help your family get out in front of their health issues.
Yeah.
Be together.
Yeah.
Find out about one another. Hug on somebody. Give a virtual hug or, you know, air hug or however. given the time that we're in today, but be reminded of the power of unity.
Yeah.
Don't do the opposite.
Yeah. I don't know. I had one of my uncles reach out to me. I reached out to him because I learned that one of my cousins passed, and so I was reaching out to him to let him know, hey, to ask him if he knew that she passed away. And he said, Karen, I need for you to. It's up to you. You gotta bring the family back together. And it's been on my heart that he said that to me. And I'm thinking, how do I do that? How do I do that? I'm just one person.
Wow.
And but it has resonated that he said that to me. You know what I mean? So
let me ask you something. Do we not know how to put our families back together or how to make them closer? Do we not know how to do it?
I think it needs to be a lot of forgiving. I think I don't think the dynamics of the family has changed. I think the way that we treat each other has. Because I can remember my grandmother and all of her sisters getting together. I still have on my mom's father's side of the family. We're the only ones that out of my family that still have every other year. We're having family reunions. Every Wednesday we do a Zoom call. So we're all fellowshipping on that side of the family. Mm-hmm. My dad's side of the family. They're a large family, so they get together often and do things. But my mom's side of the family, it's like it's like we pick and choose who we want to be around. We pick and choose who we hang with. We pick and choose who we uplift. And I'm sorry if they're watching and they feel like, hey, she's out of order, she's out of line. But that's how I feel. So, and I think that we should if somebody has wronged us, hey, say what you want to say, get it off your mind, and we move forward. Because the only time you hear me saying the only time that we get together is for funerals.
That's right.
And it's so disheartening to me.
That's right. Karen, I appreciate your willingness to be honest and to be transparent. And I also want to champion what you're saying tonight.
Yeah.
It's a reality in my family. It's a reality in other people's families. And that's just the plain truth. Yep. And we have to start to look at ourselves and say, my child could potentially, or me, myself, if I didn't have any children, is going to potentially feel alone in the world where they have dozens of cousins that they don't know.
Yes. And
why are you feeling alone? And you got 100 cousins that you don't know.
Exactly. And so and then the world is a huge place, but it's still small. And you never know who will run across each other. So you need to know who your family members are, so you don't get in the wrong type of relationships with them. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And I just think that like I said, I can only vouch for my family, but I think that a lot of forgiveness needs to happen, and we move forward as a family, as and we unite, and we love one another.
Let's do this, and we're rounding third base here tonight. But let's issue a challenge right here on America's Next Motivator, where we call somebody up and we forgive them. It's going to be the Call and Forgive Challenge. I want everybody out here, put a 1 in the chat if you're willing to do this. Put a 1 in the chat if you're willing to do this. Pursuant, because she's in the military. I got to use the military. Pursuant to the conversation that we've had today with Karen Hughes, oblige in this challenge. Call somebody in your family and forgive them and unite. We need unity.
We do.
We need unity. Put a 1 in the chat. It's hurting us. It's hurting us. We're losing people. We're losing people to COVID. We're losing people to random things happening in our world. And we are not upset enough. We're not passionate enough at re-sewing our neighborhood, our family, our communities back together. Somebody's got to say it. Karen didn't said it. She said, listen.
Hey, I don't hold no punches. I'm gonna tell you, if you want to know the truth, you ask me. And you may not like it, but I'm gonna give you, at least you know what you're gonna get from me. You're gonna get a honest, thoughtful, thought-provoking answer. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna just tell you anything. We
got ones coming in the chat. We got ones coming in the chat. Please,
that's awesome.
Follow through. We got ones coming into the chat.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Call somebody and make peace with them, because our family, it feels so much better when there has been atonement. You say, I apologize.
Yeah.
I did you wrong.
Right.
And grandma wouldn't have stood for that. Our parents wouldn't have stood for that. And you know what?
Oh my God, you hit home on that one.
Today, I'm not going to stand for that.
Yeah.
I forgive you, and I'm asking that you forgive me because it's right. It's what our ancestors would have wanted.
Yeah.
And I've been wrong for holding this grudge against you for so long.
Right.
And let's fix it.
Right.
That's the beginning.
And it's over. When you say what you got to say and you move forward, you don't hold any grudges.
That's right.
Tomorrow is not promised, people.
That's
tomorrow is not promised.
That's right. Another thing is this. Another thing is this. We've got to get back in and rebuild that family tree. We need to figure out who's related to who.
Yeah.
We need an image. We need an image of ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my. You hit home with that one. Yeah.
We need to rebuild that family tree. Don't continue to be lazy about building your family tree. Now you know your family tree is not complete.
Reaching out to those that know family members that you don't know. You know what I mean?
Yep. Have conversations.
Yeah. You know, you got to have a dialogue.
You know, right now, and your families out there, this is a community show. I like to talk to the public out there, our publics. You guys are a part of this show. Number one, be honest, guys and women. Most of your family trees are not complete.
They're not.
That's one. The second thing, yeah, we know. The second thing is you got elders in your family right now, and you don't know their life story. You don't know what their childhood was like. You don't know what they you don't know what they think about life.
Yeah. So
you don't know who their parents were. Go ahead, Karen.
So I told you on my mom's dad's side of the family, we do a weekly Zoom, right? The phenomenal family. And for Black History Month, we talked with the elders were on the line, and they were just talking about growing up in Cordia, Georgia, and what the experiences was. And most of the young people, like my son was on the line, and my uncle told him, hey, you know, when he went off to college, he had 2 pair of pants and 1 pair of shoes, and he was rotating the shirts, you know, and and I'm like, I'm telling my son, you hear this, you hear this, kid, you know, that was not your experience,
right?
And it was just the stories that they shared were just amazing, even the experiences of racism, because I told you I'm from a little small Jim Crow town now, you got the train tracks, you cross the train tracks. And I know you can relate to that being from New York, but
I can relate.
It happens in smaller towns like that,
That's right.
So they shared those stories, and I think that it was great for the youth that were on the line. And I was blessed that my daughter and my son were on the line to hear those stories.
Absolutely. We got a comment in the building, and we're rounding third base here. So we're going to move quickly, but I'm loving this conversation and the reminders, the precedents that were reset in this hour on America's Next Motivator. Maddie Tolbert says, my things with family and friends, what if it's them that needs to apologize and you haven't done anything and they just like mad with you for no reason? Let me tell you something. That might be reality. Guess what? There are unhealthy emotions that exist in our families because we haven't had the conversations. There hasn't been a weekly family conversation. There hasn't been a weekly Zoom call for this very reason.
Right.
At first, when you first get the invitation to talk as a family, that person that's mad at you for no reason, they're not going to show up.
No, they're not.
The fifth invitation, they're going to show up and be quiet.
Right.
The 10th invitation, they're going to say, you know what? Well, I'm mad at everybody for this reason.
Right.
The 15th invitation, maybe you'll have that moment where y'all can have a conversation and a dialogue. But guess what? Whose family is having a conversation every week? And if that's unrealistic, whose family is having a family-wide conversation once a month? Let's be real.
Yeah.
Whose family is having a family-wide conversation every 6 months? Or are we having a conversation, just like Karen said, at the reception, at the wake of a funeral? And so these are the realities that we need to adjust today. We need to do some new things. We need to create some new energy by doing some new activities, such as the family phone call, the family Zoom call, making sure that the family reunion is on track, reinstating the family tree.
Yes, and the values. We were taught, and we were taught the same values, everyone. I want to share with Maddie because she's one of my old friends. She's from my hometown. And this is just my faith. God doesn't hold you accountable for how someone treats you, but he does hold you accountable for how you treat them. So, all you can do is reach out and do your best, and just you make the first move. And
That's right.
People say you got to be the bigger person, and you know what? It makes you sleep good at night knowing that you did that, regardless of whether they react or how they react to you. You were the bigger person, and so you can sleep good knowing that you tried to mend what has been broken. And that's just how I feel about it. Like, again, God doesn't hold you accountable, for how someone treats you, but he does hold you accountable for how you treat someone. And that's how I feel about it.
Absolutely. And Maddie, you are the one who was tuned in to America's Next Motivator tonight. You could be the one who rebuilds that family tree. You never know who come out of the woodwork and say thank you for that.
Yeah.
Now we got 30 seconds left in the show. I got 3 questions.
I enjoy
3 questions. I got 3 questions for you. We got 30 seconds left. The first question: what is survival to you? 30 seconds.
Survival to me, it was doing what I had to do to take care of my family, to make sure I got back home to my family safely in the military, and there are some things that, that I'm saying, I would, if someone would have asked, how did you do it? I wouldn't have been able to say that I would have done those things, but I did what I had to do to get back home to my family.
What is success to you?
Success to me is being true to yourself, being a pillar in your community, for people to not only think, I want to go over and I want to talk with this family, but to show them love and kindness and compassion. We don't do enough of that.
That's right. What is greatness to you? Last 5 seconds.
Oh, greatness to me. When I think of greatness, I think about life. I just think that it is great to be alive. It's great to have my family, health, my in a good mind, in a great mind.
That's right. Ladies and gentlemen,
I appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your crown emojis into the chat. Karen Hughes, I want to let you know that we've listened to your story today. We love the positivity, the harmony that rang through. Appreciate all the things that went into making you. We want to give you a respect today, and we're going to give you a crown today while you're still living. Ladies and gentlemen, put your crown emojis into the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, put your crown emojis into the chat. We are letting you know, letting the world know that you, Karen Hughes, you are America's Next Motivator.
Thank you. Thank you again. Thank you so much, Cedric, for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for stopping by today. All right.
All right. Take care.
All righty.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Each and every episode of America's Next Motivator is going to have something here for you. All you got to do, just like you did today, is stop by and pick it up.